The Louis Diaz podcast.
I can imagine like it trains you to learn so much. Like it trains you to learn, and that training on just like the process of learning, like it feels like you're never really that stagnant. Like they're always going, oh yeah, this and that, and you got to learn this, and you got to do that, and you got to do this and that. By the time you come out of the army into civilian life, you're like, all right, fuck, what am I going to learn today?
You're not learning, you're training.
Training. Okay.
And you're retraining.
Training, retraining.
So you come up every year, you go, right, we got retraining and requals. So, you know, if you want to use the grenade, the F1 grenade, this is its weight and all that sort of stuff. You don't learn it once and then you qualified. You have to re-qualify.
Right, okay.
So you always get everything on a cycle, right? So I'm not qualified anymore. I have to go re-qualify, which means you go back on the training. So you start you start again.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
So that sometimes I think about that in life sometimes. So I'm training for comedy.
Yeah.
And when I sit down in the morning, I like if I want to write or I want to write a reel, I'm like, we got comedy training today.
Yeah.
You know, we got to make something from our brain. I was like, yeah, it's training. Yeah. I haven't made a reel in a while. I was like, fuck, I don't know how this goes anymore. I got to do some retraining, you know?
You kidding?
Watch YouTube, watch someone that's better than me. I might go upskill and do some retraining.
Yeah.
You know?
It's such a fun process being a content creator.
It's the best.
Because it's like, it never ends. It's like, oh yeah, I got to do better thumbnails now. It's like, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's cool. And that's great. And once you get into content creating, it's like you might do one day, but then you got to make it another 2,000 for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
So you do it. It never fucking ends.
That's true.
It's crazy.
Episode 66 now.
Yeah, but one day you'll be on 660, right? And you'll be like, oh, I can't believe insert something that you used to think was gospel.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't imagine having another 500 and more, 600 and more guests, but you know, I'm enjoying this process. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for being here. I wanted to ask you, so you get to that point where you decide to discharge, then it takes 6 months. They're trying to convince you not to.
Yep.
And then finally the day comes.
Yeah.
And you're out.
First thing you do is grow a beard, man.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Because I got out, I had like a shit ton of leave, so I didn't have to do anything for like a few months.
Right, okay.
So I was like in the army, but I was out.
Right.
So I was just getting paid out my leave.
Oh, okay.
Which was the best.
Nice.
And first thing you do is grow a beard.
Yeah.
Because you have to shave every day, right? So you're like, fuck yeah, I'm getting a beard.
Nice.
That's all you can think about. I'm going to do some shit that
Itchy
I'm not allowed.
face.
I'm going to smoke weed. Like, I'm going to do all the stuff you're not allowed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can't take drugs and stuff, right?
Nice.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
But,
what is it? What is it? What's that pub that you talk about in Townsville?
The Mad Cow.
The Mad Cow.
The Mad Cow.
I'm sure
Oh, yeah,
what happens
brother.
in the Mad Cow.
Hey, this guy just hit subscribe to the thing. Also, Shake, I'm the guest. This is the actual guy, man. So, yeah. Cheers, brother. Yeah, follow along, man. Follow along. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Yeah, the Mad Cow is like a fucking institution in Townsville, right? Everyone goes there. And it's wicked.
I don't know. I didn't know about the Mad Cow.
But I've taught you about it, right?
Yes. I've learned about the Mad Cow.
Everyone knows about it, right? And it's you walk in there and it's got this big sign up the top and it says, Mad Cow, helping ugly people have sex since 1996. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. Like I got laid heaps there, you know what I mean? And I was like, when I was fucking a nerd, like a young nerd, like fresh in the army with your shit haircut, you're like, yeah, Mad Cow. And it's the best. You want to go somewhere and listen to the Time Warp 3 times a night? You're like sick. And then like the Wonderwall twice. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
And
like,
singing
it's wicked, man.
Spilling beer all over yourself.
And everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
No one, if you're in there,
you know what's happening.
You're in. It's like Epstein's Island. Like, if you're in, you're in. Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm just curious.
There's nothing wrong with being curious in life. You always have to be curious about everything.
Are you bi-curious?
Yeah. Where are you from?
Auckland.
Auckland.
Ah, the neighbours. Yeah. On the western... No, sorry. The eastern state of Australia.
A fellow Anzac, if I'm not wrong.
A fellow Anzac. Yeah. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Good.
Nice one. Yeah. Be curious. Okay. Oh, fuck. I forgot that chain of thought. Where was I? Where were we? Okay. You're leaving. You're leaving. I was going to ask though, like, have you already figured out the plan for what's next
Nah.
by then?
Oh, I decided to become a chef.
Yeah, but like, had you already
Yeah.
thought that through?
Yeah, I had. So that was what I used to do in my spare time. I was like,
okay.
and being a chef for me was almost like a gateway drug to my creativity.
Right.
Because in my spare time, I used to, like when I went overseas with the army, when I was on deployment in the military,
Yeah.
people would be like, Goundrey's got his head in a fucking cookbook. You know, like this is in between like patrols and missions, right? Excuse me, ma'am. You dropped your visa.
Oh, look, I'm going to have to read for you. Thank you very much.
Nice one.
Good Samaritan.
This guy.
Yeah. Imagine if we
saving
stole
lives.
it live on air. We're like, oh, she's dropped it. Let's fucking rob
Let's
her.
go to the mad cow.
That's the clip. Yeah. So I was like, had my head in my can I grab one of those? Over here?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
So I used to
Sorry,
have my
I'm
head in a
friend.
cookbook, right?
I didn't
And-
think you smoked. so
Oh, I
it's
barely,
fucking
but I
great.
don't mind a little bit of a dart every
Yeah.
now and then.
I'm Maxwell Smart.
I never heard that.
I'm
before.
Maxwell. Yeah.
I never heard that before. Wait, mate, you got a Maxwell Smart? That's great. Dude, you say that in the mad car, you'd be a hero.
Comedian. You got a Kevin Hart?
Holy shit. Yeah, so I just decided, look, this is what I was passionate about on the side. If I'm going to leave the army, I want to go. Surely life's all about just following your passions, right?
Yeah.
So I did that. Loved it for a while. I was super into it. I worked. That's how I got to Melbourne. I was like, "Where's the best restaurants?" I'm like, "That's the place I got to be." So I went there.
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't.
And so, but you had to start from scratch as an apprentice chef, I imagine.
I went to culinary school and got pretty much qualified, so I could skip the queue a little bit. And then when I was at the end of my apprenticeship, I entered a competition for like the top 30 apprentices in Australia, and I kind of finished pretty well in that. And I got offered a job in Melbourne, so I moved and I worked at Colour & Co. And that was it. I just followed it up until one day I was like, this fucking sucks. I was like, being a chef's terrible.
Yeah.
The pay sucks.
Well, wait. I'm talking to a guy that was in the army.
Oh, being a chef's way worse than the army, mate. Because you know what? The army's acutely difficult. As in, if you've been awake for 3 days and sleeping in a puddle, that's hard. That's very hard. If you're like 40 Ks into like a pack march with all of your gear, that's the hardest
But
thing.
you're not doing it every day.
No.
Yeah,
You're sitting
okay.
around fucking oiling the barrels most of the time, right? So you're like,
Okay.
right, big event, boom. Going overseas for long periods of time, that's hard.
Yeah.
Going out on fucking exercises is hard as fuck. But then
Yeah.
being a chef is always hard.
Yeah. Ooh.
It's you're on your feet. Like it's a grind.
Yeah.
And it just grinds your way in you. And like most people are kind of not serious about it. A lot of drinking. I've fucking had a wicked drinking problem.
Wow.
I don't drink anymore,
Yeah.
but at all.
Yeah.
I can't. But
You just can't handle it anymore.
I did it. Did it all, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Army's the
I'm
same.
just
I
done.
was drinking. Yeah. Everyone drinks in the army.
Yeah.
Heaps. Being a chef, just drink all the time, do drugs, like all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And when I wanted to become serious about this, I was like, dude, my body's the product. My mind's the thing.
Yeah.
I got to look after
You
it.
got to
So,
protect it.
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. But then I imagine you're 25, you got into being a chef, and
Yep.
then that lasted how many more years?
Another 7.
Another 7.
Yeah, on a 7-year cycle.
Everything's on
so-
7s for you.
I'm on 8 years of comedy now, and I think this is it forever. So I'm
Yeah,
happy.
You found your thing.
I think so. And then I got to this is why I think people have midlife crisis, because they never do what they want to do, right? So then you get to a certain age and then you act out in different ways. You're like, oh, I'll fuck the secretary and have a boat, right?
Yeah.
But really you wanted to play footy,
Yeah.
you know? So it's just like it's the rebellious nature of your dream coming out in other ways.
Yeah. Okay. Manifesting in different ways.
So I was like, I had like a bit of an identity crisis when I realized that chefing wasn't for me, and I was trashing my mind and my body. And I was like, well, I can't do this forever because this hurts.
What year are we talking?
I'm about 30.
Yeah. Okay.
And
yeah.
I was like, if I don't do what I want to do, I won't do it. I won't ever do it. So comedy came along.
So it's like now or never. Okay. Comedy just came. It feels like comedy's out of left field though, because it's like, okay, at no point throughout your army journey, I mean, apart from the day-to-day shenanigans, right? And then you were talking about having your head buried in cookbooks all the time. Doesn't feel like it was ever on your radar.
I didn't think it was either until I meet people I used to serve with, and then they're like, man, of course. And like they always said I was the guy. I was like the morale dude. You know what I mean? Like if it was piercing with rain, I'm like, "Oi, fucking dudes!" You know, like how's the OC's voice? Like they're just doing all the impressions and stuff. So I was like
So
the
you
larrikin
had
guy.
this natural inclination to be funny.
Yeah. If something happened on the weekend, I'll be like, fellas, I'll tell the story. It'll be 80% correct, but it'll have the pauses and the punchlines, right? Let's just, I'll tell it, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, like it was in me.
Yeah.
I would see comedy
Yeah.
and I would be like, that to me seemed wild. Like that activity, that people could do that
Up on
seemed
stage.
like something I couldn't do.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what that is. And this is how stupid I was at the time. I didn't even realize that I didn't even realize there was a comedy scene. I thought comedians went to NIDA
Yeah. Okay.
and then became comedians. I thought they studied it or something. I just didn't realize it. And then it wasn't until I was a chef. There was an open mic near our work.
right.
And I saw it and I saw open mic comedy. And I was like, is this the fucking bar?
Yeah.
I can do this. You know what I mean?
I've done this.
This is fucking easy. And then I, you know, signed my name up and then, yeah, just quickly realized that it's probably the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I was fucking terrible at it when I started.
Yeah.
Bad. I used to bomb all the time.
You just went straight into it. It sounds like you just went, I'll get up there and do that.
Well, it was so crazy. I was like, when I was having this identity crisis, I was just like fucking balls deep in some antidepressants, right? And fucking boozing it up.
Yeah.
And I did some open mic comedy and I felt something and I was like, whoa. I was like, what? I was like, what's that?
Nice.
Emotions.
Yeah.
And I was hooked.
Were you scared? Was it like I was scared?
Throwing up, man. I would be nervous like
Now we're
2
back.
days before a gig.
Okay.
I would be like, man, this is really crazy. Like, this is so confronting. I hadn't really felt that way ever when I hit basic training. I was like, holy shit.
Well, you'd never done public speaking before.
Mate.
It's public speaking on steroids.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I just loved it.
I'm getting nervous thinking about that.
I
I
did a gig last night and I was nervous before that. And it was just, I still am.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's healthy.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, it's really nice to be challenged.
Mm.
And do you know what's good about it? Is it's only up to you.
Yeah. Okay. Really?
Like, it's up to you.
Well, the crowd's got to be warm.
Mate,
Nah.
try control that.
Devil's advocate.
If they're not warm, you got to make them warm.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
it's only on you.
Warm 'em up.
They are in whatever state you are, right? And if they're not even listening, you better make them. Because you can do a gig and you can walk away and you can bitch about, the fucking lighting and like the thing. It's like, yeah, or maybe you didn't get them. Like, or maybe you didn't get them.
Yeah.
And it's just your fault.
So those-
everything's your fault.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
That control is amazing. And I got hooked.
Yeah. Okay.
Hooked.
Despite being like incredibly nervous,
Yeah.
you were hooked.
Oh, absolutely.
You had to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Oh,
And there's no path. There's no path.
Yeah.
So
That's I'm learning that.
You got to make your own way.
Yeah.
And
So what was the way that you chose? Would you just keep coming back to that same bar, or like did
Yeah,
you just go, I'm going to try some different open mics and stuff?
so I was open micing for ages, and then I quickly realized that you can find more gigs if you want, right? So one thing I did early was I would travel to so in Melbourne you could only get like a handful of minutes, right? But if you flew to another state, you could, like, they'd be like, well, you're from Melbourne. They're like, have 10. And you're like, okay, all right. So
Nice.
I would just save my money and I'd just go, I'm going to Brisbane this month. And I'd go there and then I would just be like, cool, fresh.
Yeah.
And I would have like the best things I've got, like only stuff I've got. And I would just go there with my material. That's like, looking back on it, it's like, it's just fine. And I'd be like, this is let's go conquer, right? With, you go on campaign. Where else can we fucking put some roots down?
That's wild.
Boom, go there. Where are we next? Sydney. Let's go find
So you went
out
all
there.
in. You it sounds like you're going like all in, as in like, oh no, I like this enough that I'm just going to fly to another state and do this.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Blow it off the hinges.
Why wouldn't you? People are like, you can do the thing you like to a level here, or you can put a bit of time and effort and money in
You're
and
still
do it
working
better.
as a chef at that time?
Yeah. So I'd say like I do like double shifts. I went casual.
Yeah.
I used to work. I went from working nights to a cafe, so I could go out at night time. saving up my money, blowing it. Like, you know, I'm full-time comedy now, but I haven't paid off the time investment. Like the first 4 years didn't pay anything, right? So like we're still paying back the sort of life hex on my soul, you know what I mean? And look, it just slowly started to work, bro.
Throughout all this time, you've had a kid at some point, though.
Yeah. So I had a kid young, so at 22.
Yeah, okay.
So you're not with the partner.
4 years.
Like not with the partner.
Right.
So always, that was great.
Okay.
Great relationship, everything like that. And just like made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in a way, I was like,
that's fucking wild.
well, if your kid, right?
Yeah.
If your kid comes to you and they go, hey, I want to do insert fucking crazy idea. Your response is, you can be anything you want to be. People just throw that around without fucking doing it themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, my weird way was like, I want to leave no wonders, not fucking wondering, right? And I can confidently say in comedy that, like, if it was to end next week, we gave it everything.
Yeah.
And that's fine if
Yeah.
it didn't go the way you wanted to.
So there's part of it about like being a role model as well. But is that what
I mean,
hearing? Like to your daughter, like
it's definitely for me first and selfish first.
Yeah.
But you need to embody what you believe, and I believe this. I believe you need to be what you want to be, right? Because one day she's going to be like, I'm going to go do this in London, and I'm going to go, you fucking go, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I know you might message once every 6 months when you're like, your parents are getting older and but you're doing your thing now. The torch is passed.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go make some mistakes.
Yeah.
Fail forward. Figure it out. Be challenged and find yourself in that situation where you need to find the flyers on the goon bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what life's all about, right?
You're juggling fatherhood throughout this whole crazy journey. Like,
And I haven't done it perfectly. In fact, not at all. But no one does.
Yeah.
But I can say I've lived a life the way that I would hope she'd like to.
Yeah. Following
know.
your dreams.
And I would support. If she's like, I want to be an astronaut, I'm going to be like, mate, that is very plausible.
Yeah.
You got to work hard, and you got to look at your failures, and you got to go, well, what's the next thing forward? But you can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah.
It'll take 10 years. It'll take 20. But if you want to get to outer space, you can.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice to hear.
Anyone can do anything.
That's inspirational.
Right? You just got to...
Yeah. I mean, you said that piece before. Oh, little kid just fell over.
Cheers.
Yeah, you said that piece before about like, not enough people follow their dreams, and not enough like it manifests in that's where the midlife crisis comes in.
Did you ever seen a 42-year-old woman get on the piss and cry?
It's like you've known this for a long time though. Going back to being in Perth, watching your mates go out and work in the mines and be electricians and that. Like you already knew, like you had this innate feeling that things in that direction weren't for you. Like there was some kind of other thing that you needed to discover and find in life. Like that's not common. That's pretty rare to meet someone that's like, I know what's not going to lead me to happiness or like, fulfillment or satisfaction or whatever it is.
You got
Happiness gets thrown.
You got to pick your sacrifices though, man. I mean, the sacrifice I paid was, I knew I could do something before the people around me did, so people doubt you. And you got to block that out. Yeah. People are, are you sure you know what you're doing? Yeah, I do. Well, I don't know if it's going to work, but I know what I'm doing. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
You need to abandon financial security. You need to take risk.
Which is fucking hard.
It's so hard. I mean, society's not geared towards it.
Yeah.
That's
true.
First and foremost.
Like you're watching all these other people buy houses.
Yeah. I think once you realize that...
Real estate prices going up around you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if that's what success is measured in, sure. But for me, that's not what success is measured in.
Yeah, there's there's that sort of societal pressure that's constantly there, whether it's like having an impact on you or not.
Yeah, and you need to go through that period of your own doubt, whilst the rest of the world is, and you can feel it. Most people don't say it.
I'm there now.
Yeah, people go like, so like, what's the backup? There isn't one, baby. And that's okay. And you got to be really comfortable with it. Yeah. And you got to be okay to sacrifice social discomfort for the pursuit of a life of which you can be proud of. Because after you've done it, and I'm probably getting a small taste now, people ask you how you did it, and the real answer is I just fucking believed.
Right.
But what they want to know is the silver bullet. Like, how did you do it?
Yeah.
Was it like a posting time?
Everyone's
Was
addicted
it-
to life hacks
People,
these days.
people want the hack. Yeah, they want the hack. The real hack is, oh no, I had a level of discomfort that I was willing to endure
Yeah.
to get the thing that I wanted, which the thing is still uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So that's life, right? You're doing it right now.
I think it's a good time to break out the cookies as well.
Yeah, we did. So shout out to what was the name of the coffee shop?
Morning Bar.
Morning Bar.
The
So
most expensive coffee in Melbourne. Thank you for
take
buying
that one, right?
Oh, no way. What
And
the hell? This isn't just a...
Take this. I got a chocolate
Are you
one.
kidding?
Yeah, I don't even know. I said to the
Oh,
lady,
it
I
says
said,
code black on the bag.
I know.
That's a coffee brand, but what the hell is this? This is a cookie on... Oh my God. That is ridiculously good. This is like a peanut butter raspberry cookie.
cookies have come a long way since we were a kid. You know what I mean? I feel sorry for Arnott's. They haven't adapted.
True, but they're probably still like dominating sales.
Yeah, they're in the boomer fucking market though, right?
True.
Because their customer
Ooh,
base
that's
is going to
true.
die out, right?
I reckon they are.
Arnott's
for sure.
have a decision to face in the future.
How are they going to evolve? You said you're a marketing guy before. How would Arnott's fucking reshape this thing?
We're going to take a few risks, man. They got to get in the ice cream game. They got to make it cool. I think they got to go down the road of what like VB, Emu Export in Western Australia does. You've got to be like, this is not a biscuit. This is a feeling. Okay. They're like, this is your childhood.
What did VB do? VB did.
VB came cool, right? Like VB's cool. It's cool to have tinnies again, right?
Yeah,
it's
that's
cool to have a
true.
tinny.
That's true.
It's not a good beer,
No.
but they're like, have a fucking tinny after a big day's work, bro.
And
They're
when
like,
it's
you a
ice-
battler? Have a fucking beer, mate. You deserve it.
When it's ice cold too.
Been moving a fridge.
nothing
I've
better.
moved a fridge. Yeah.
Did you open a drawer?
Also, in those ads, they moved the fridge, but the fridge is full of VB. No wonder you need a drink. Take the fucking VB out of the fridge, bro.
Exactly. You can get it putting on your shoes.
It'll be like 1/8 of the weight.
Duh.
Fucking work smart, not hard,
They've
boys.
rigged it. They have rigged it. Yeah. What are we talking
But then
about?
you'd move the fridge and you'd be like, oh, I don't need the beer anymore. So catch 22. But yeah, companies like that, they got to figure out what they are. And they got to go, right, we need to adapt into the future.
Yep.
You can't rest on your laurels. Otherwise, you become the taxi with the Uber, right?
You know, like you talked about getting into the army when you were 18, then becoming a chef. But you speak like someone who's really well educated.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do.
I
I spoke, like, and you're friends with David, right? We were talking about that, I think, off air. You're friends with David Rose. David Rose is a trained lawyer, as you know.
smart guy.
Intelligent guy.
Mm-hmm.
Tertiary education for 7-8 years or whatever it is to get the qualification to be a lawyer. I think, I feel like I'm sitting across from someone with equally
Also,
good education.
also another guy who has had the courage to put himself out there. Like what he's done in the clip world is great.
Sorry, what?
With his comedy clips.
Oh,
Clip. The clip master. Is like he's working just as hard as everyone else, but he's advertising fucking 20 acts, right? And it's working for him. It's good. It's good to see because he's a great comedian. Better than me, way better than me.
I've seen him at the
And-
Comics Lounge. He's darn good.
Darn good. And he's going to get what's coming for him because he has gone through the time where he needs to do something and he needs to suck in front of people. I'm going to make these clips. These clips aren't as good as the ones he makes now. And he got good, and now he's fucking great. Good on him, man. That's success should come to people with that work ethic. And I'm fucking pumped for him.
Thank you for the cookie.
I think it's one thing I do because I work for myself now.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm the product and I'm the manager
You
and
are
I'm the social media
CEO
guy.
of
I'm the CEO.
Jarryd Goundrey.
When you work for yourself, you can work as little or as hard as you want. It's real fucking hard, right? Because sometimes you wake up and you're like, do I pick scrolling or do I pick yourself up
Yep.
and learn something? Something I try to do every day is I just try to learn something.
Yep.
Read a lot.
Yep. What do you
history.
read? Oh, history.
History.
There we go.
History.
Anyone that studies history has a brain.
Well, you got to think, because this is what I like to know. Fucking get about it. This is what I think about history. Is that
I
we're
love
in
history,
it?
by the way.
We're in it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I have that.
So, 300 years from now.
Hopefully, I've done a few more episodes by then.
Well, it'll exist. Okay. So, whatever the technology is, it's not reels. It's not social media. Right?
Holograms.
There's going to be something else, right? Yeah. You might be able to have to go somewhere to get my clips, your podcast, an equivalent of what like a fucking microfiche looks like somewhere, to be like, yeah, I'm doing my family tree, and there was this comedian in our family, like, what's going on here? And they'll look at it and be like, yeah, you got to download this secondary app thing to go into your brain chip to even access it, because the technology's not there anymore. Like, you got an aux cable for, when you want to play like a PlayStation 1 on a new telly, right? So the technology is going to be different, and people are going to move past, right? And all of our views will be fucking outdated too. So they'll just be like, dude, he was crazy, right? Because we look at people, let's go back 300 years.
Yeah.
And now go forwards 300 years. So let's look at that spectrum.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Australia wasn't even.
They're going to be like, they were crazy, man. They were giving fucking antidepressants to kids. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
that's why I feel really, like, a lot of people judge historical characters, right?
Yeah.
Through our
I
lens.
love this point.
Through our lens.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to be really fucking sure
That's so true.
that you're living in you'll be naive to think that we are at the peak of progress.
100%.
Because they
I
might
talk
be
about
like,
this all the time, by the way.
300 years, they're going to be like, man, that comedian Jarryd Goundrey, he did a lot of cool things, but he owned a dog. Like, oh, you mean a fucking animal slave? Like, that's what we call them now, right? So you got to be very sure that if you're judging anyone that came before you through the lens of now, that you think that we are where we are is the standard.
That's fascinating.
Because you're going to be judged by the same thing by the people in the future.
That's fascinating.
Right?
I've had this thought recently, right? Because I reconnected with my biological father like 3 years ago almost. And one of the really great things that he does, he lives in Venezuela on a beach, right?
Sick.
One of the really great things that he does is he'll send me old photos of our family, which no one else ever did for me. And I'm really grateful for. And he sends me photos from like the 1800s of like his granddad.
Cool.
Now his dad was 71 years old when he was born. His dad's seventh and last child, right? So I was doing the maths. And I was thinking, fuck, my granddad was born in 1881, right? And I talk to people about this. I'm like, 7 kids. And I got an appreciation for this when I went to Dublin and I visited the Guinness factory. And if you do the tour of the Guinness factory, you'll learn all about the history, and you'll learn about the Guinness family, and you'll learn that they had about 20 kids, right? And so there's people these days that would go, 20 kids, that's crazy. Like, poor woman, you know what I mean? But I'm like, well, hear me out. Like, back then, kids would just die. Like, they would die at like 1 year old, 2 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, 15, 18. And so, like, you'll learn that the Guinness factory had all these kids, but some of them were dying. Like, and they were a very wealthy family, right? Very, very wealthy. But still, they didn't have the technology back then. And so, like, it just gave me an appreciation for the context of, like, hey, don't judge, historical figures based on modern lens.
Well, every generation judges the one before, right? And every generation naturally thinks they're the one that's got it sorted out until they get old and the next one comes along.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't even imagine having 3 kids these days.
Well, every medicine is a very good way to look at this. So every 100 years, people think the last 100 years was bonkers. Okay? So you look back to it and they're like, they used to treat this with leeches. And you're like, okay, cool. So what the fuck are we doing now that makes the next thing look silly, right? And if you apply that with everything, then you kind of realize you've only got now.
Yeah.
Right? Because the people in 300 years probably will never care what you're up to. So really, you've only got your life, right? Because what happened to the other million people that lived in Rome when Julius Caesar was around?
Yeah.
Like you just don't know them, right?
Yeah. And
that's very humbling.
Yeah.
Because it means you can just do what you want to do. I think as long as you live like don't fucking hurt people on purpose, and you will accidentally.
Yep.
But if you just live a life doing that, but you make it true to what you want to do, more likely than not, no one will ever know it happened. And that is liberating.
Yeah.
Because look at the great history of everyone and just remember that 99.9% of people are non-existent. So do what you want.
Yeah.
So do what you want.
That's so true.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
Right? Try some happiness along the way and enjoy the moment, because later on someone will judge your actions as archaic. And
You can only develop this mindset from studying history, I think.
well, you need to realize that it keeps going round.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like, I look at this with new things that come out, and there was a great article from, I believe it was like the late 1800s, where the radio had just kind of come into prominence.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on the years, but an article came out that essentially went, the kids these days are sitting in the lounge room listening to the baseball. They're not out there playing the baseball, right? There was a Roman philosopher that essentially wrote an equivalent of, this generation's fucked. Because we used to go out and fucking conquer, and everything's conquered now, and like, it's okay. Like, everything's going to keep, like, the pattern is the same. Right? So, and I see this having kids now where, like, they got their own words.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, skibbity toilet, to like a bunch of my like daughter's mates. And they're like, what a fuckhead. And I'm like, I'm the fuckhead now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's cool, because they're going to go be doing something on their own. And one day the saying is going to be around, of the equivalent of okay boomer will exist for the millennial.
Okay, Gen Z.
Yeah. They're like, right, you it's easy for you. You inherited the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You lived in a house.
Yeah, it's easy for you because you could still fucking have work, or like you weren't on universal income or whatever comes along. It's easy for you because like you had money and we're going to work in a Bitcoin fucking related, like whatever that is the struggles that are going to happen. Like I look at my grandfather was like one of the greatest people that ever lived, had like 8 kids, like built a house with his fucking hands, and then like we got him a smartphone and it just ruined him. And
Really?
so something's going to come along for us.
Yeah.
That just leaves us behind.
I think for me, I already feel it.
Feel it.
Yeah.
I felt that when I started making TikToks.
Yeah.
Like it worked for me, but I was like, this is fucking hard, mate. It took me to learn to go things. And sooner or later, like the kids are going to, the kids are going to be like, it's easy, granddad. You just fucking blink twice and there's your bank details, right? And we'll be like, I don't know where my thing is. And I'll be like getting lost in my like wallet. I won't pay for the free version. I'll be getting ads and shit, right? You know, I'll be like, MILFs in your area. And I'll be like, fuck, right?
Yeah.
And then like someone's going to scam you in your brain.
Yeah.
And your grandkids will be like, Granddad's a fucking idiot. He's like
Just
sending,
blinked twice.
yeah, he lost all his money
Just
to like a
transferred
Nigerian
$3,000.
thought, you know? He's just, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because that's, because that's how life works.
The circle of life.
Right.
I love it. The
So
circle of
just,
human life.
You just got to stay in the like intellectual top 10%
Yeah.
at all times, which takes learning and keeping up and figuring out, because you don't want to be the old person that's like, can you come round and connect me brain to the telly? Like, and they're like, he's still got a fucking telly, you know?
I was having a thought the other day. I think I'm already there. Like, I think I'm already just like classic now. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to sort of evolve too much more and to get into the deep depths of the technology. Like, plus I am tech savvy, right? But then I think I got to a point where I'm like, I've gained such a greater appreciation for, I don't know, like going outside, you know, like taking my eyes off the screen.
Correct. Yes. Very good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, you know, I'm like, oh no, I'm happy in this zone where I know about that, but like, I don't want to get too deep into it. Like,
Do you know why you should upskill all tech at all time? Because one day you're going to want to have meaningful interactions with your grandchildren.
Yeah, that's true. I already
You
fucking
seen a
know how to
fucking
FaceTime,
You've
bro.
seen a fucking grandparent on Facebook just sharing that thing that's like, copy and paste if you agree. Meta has access to your data. You know, like, you know, that's, and you're like, dude, this is fucking dumb. Like, don't be that person. Don't be that person for whatever that is in the future.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my mum, get like this, right? My mum, don't put this clip up, but my mum got that message that's like,
Oh, this is all going up, bro.
no, not on the clips. Mum's
okay.
Instagram savvy, right?
Right,
She likes all my statuses. No profile picture, but she's on it, right?
Yeah, right.
Jen, right? Jen goes to me one time. I go over to Perth to see them. She goes, "Did you get your phone fixed?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "I got the message and it said, 'Hi, Mum, my phone's broken and, you know, I don't have... It's in Rice and this is my new number. I need $200, right?'"
Are you kidding? That's
And
happening.
I'm like, "Mum, first of all, there's 3 siblings. It just said, 'Hey, Mum, you just think it's me?' Hurts." Right? The other kid's got their shit squared away. She's like, "It's the comedian. Right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
broken his phone. He needs his Instagram device, right?" Secondly, she didn't send $200 to the person. So
Yeah.
not only did she think it was me, she didn't pay up. She was like, "Fuck him, he's on his own." So she got scammed, but didn't go through with it.
Yeah,
Just because she's brutal.
That's awesome.
Good on her.
I ain't getting scammed by my own son. Are you kidding? What a dickhead.
Fuck him. Yeah.
My own
But you don't want to be that person in the future. You don't want to be that person, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be
Yeah.
like a ridiculed.
Yeah.
You don't want to be useless, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be useless.
Yeah, it's not like I've given up hope on like progress. I'm just like, you know, like I don't get caught in the hysteria. I think what you would do, like, I think it's easy, like it's easier for us to talk about this now than in generations before because things are moving so exponentially for us.
Definitely.
Like you're talking about Facebook, right?
Uh-huh.
Like Facebook's only 20 years old, but it's fucking old.
We're in the VHS fucking era, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We were there. I was there with Robocop, mate.
Cassette tapes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What
Vinyl. There was like when I came to Australia, my stepdad had a vinyl player.
Yeah.
We had records and stuff.
I wonder if, you
Wearing
know how
this
that's
interesting-
cool now and it's retro?
Yep.
I wonder if anything we're doing now will be retro.
Yeah.
Like in the future, they
This
got
will be
classic
retro.
cars.
What? There's like two
No,
guys.
he's got a Toyota Prius.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah. Oh,
whoa,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Or like our music is classical music, you know? They're like, I'm going to put, like, we'll be old, right? Like, I want to listen to something. I want to listen to some classical music. And they're like, let's get down to business. We're like, yeah, buddy. Come, my lady, come, my lady. You're my butterfly, sugar, baby. And the kids are like, the fuck
That's
is this,
old.
mate?
That's
and,
an oldie.
and then we would have different sayings. We're like, apparently, if you're pregnant and you let it listen to, like, let's get down. The kid comes out smarter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think this is retro. Two dudes talking to each other, like in IRL, you know, like in the street.
In a fucking alleyway.
People are like, hey, we should do that thing that like my granddad used to do that time where like we go out in public and just talk to each other.
Yeah. It'll come back.
Yeah.
People won't know what to do.
Conversations coming back. What did they talk about?
Yeah.
They talked about battle boners.
People in the future, yeah, they'll just be like, yeah, it was, I don't know. It was. I love to
That's a
think about
trip,
that
though.
because it's very grounding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think, and then once you get an appreciation for history, you get to see where
That's
you
so
are in
true.
it.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just really foolish to think that you're always in the modern era.
Yeah.
Because everybody was.
Well, it's one of my favorite. Like I studied history in high school. We studied revolutions, French and Russian, but then I didn't really touch history much until I read *Sapiens* during the pandemic.
Great book.
Yeah, and I was like, well, great author.
Makes you feel small.
Yeah, it makes you feel very small. Like, and you're like, oh. He starts that book, for anyone that doesn't know it, it's the history of humankind. So he starts at the caveman, essentially, and sort of works his way through the evolution till today. And I think the wonderful thing about history, right, and if you take an author like Yuval Noah Harari, is that you notice at the end of that book and in some of his consequent books, he's trying to predict the future. Because if you study that much about our general patterns and ways of being, like you can like you're an authority in predicting what might happen next. I don't know if I love, not that I have to love or agree with where he's taking us, because I don't disagree, but like he gets pretty dark with some of his premonitions on where we're actually going, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I should spend more time outside.
If you could go into any historical era or event and live, you can speak the language. Like, there's no barriers, right? You're just kind of there. You get in the clothes. Like, you know what I mean? You're just around.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Any historical era? Well, that's a
You've got a
tough
week.
question.
You got a week.
Well, there's a lot that I don't know. So you don't know what you don't know. But I think...
Yeah, you don't want to go, oh, I like the medieval period, and you get stuck in a plague. All right.
Well, based on the learning that I've done in my life, I would have loved to have been around in Australia during the gold rush when it was kicking off in Melbourne.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ballarat when it was glory days.
Like, imagine, like you're here in the city, everything's black and white, of course.
Everything. Yeah, you go back and it's black and white.
And
Yeah.
like there's people like roaming around, horse and cart,
Yeah.
you know, and shopkeepers and barbers, you know, stuff.
Everyone's wearing a suit.
And some motherfucker comes in with a gold nugget.
Yeah.
Like just random
A
carrying around a
China
gold
man.
nugget.
Yeah. As they called him then.
Well, yeah, exactly. And, you know, I do credit that time in Australia's modern history as a time of, you know, profound immigration, you know, and that like the Chinese have like a big stake in this country, especially this city, because they all heard that there was gold here and like just coming over in boatloads trying to find it.
Totally.
And you learn all about the cultural challenges and all of that, but you learn about like how, you know, like opportunistic. And I think what, you know, to answer your question just in a little bit more detail, I think that was like, for me, it excites me when I hear about a time in history where people were sort of just going about their day to day and everything seemed pretty like, you know, steady as in growth. But then there was this like immense optimism in society that just captivated everyone. And like the tulip mania as well is another time in history where everyone was like, fucking let's go out and buy tulips.
You'd like to be a fly on the wall for the guy who goes home that day and he's like, babe, we're going to Australia. And he's like, what are you talking about? Let's keep working at the textile. You're like, gold. This is our big shot, right? And all of those people, some won and some didn't, right?
Oh, yeah,
so,
for sure.
you know, you only get to hear the bad and the good. There's a lot of people in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Do you know where I'd go? I'd go to the grand opening of Stonehenge.
Oh, bullshit.
Like, imagine this. You're in fucking England.
Yeah.
This thing's been built for ages.
It's like 12,000 years old
It's
or something?
fucking old, bro. And they're like, we're gonna
going
drag this shit across this place. And they're like, why? They're like, so we can line it up to the fucking equinox. And you're like, right, so you've made it. Everyone's coming around. It's about to fucking line up. And then it just goes, whoop, 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 whoop. Fucking yeah, bro.
Imagine that.
Like, everyone's just like, this was worth
Fucking
it, right?
DJs playing this crescendo.
Everyone's on mushrooms. There's druids and shit everywhere, right? You've got like villages, you know, it's a fuck fest for like a week. There's like cows are being sacrificed. It's a big feast. You're having D&M's been like, you know, dad died on the fucking project. He got crushed by a thing. And I'm just really glad it all lined up, you know, because it's worth it now, you know. They're like, and then did you see when the start? Yeah, it was good, man. Like, and I just think if you had your knowledge and you're like, guys, does anyone think this might have been a waste of time? And they're like, did you just fucking see it line up? You know, like I just would like to enjoy that. If I could have the classic dinner of like, who would you invite to dinner?
Yeah.
I would have some historical figures, but I'd really like to get like an early man. Like, you know, so you're there with like whoever, like, fuck it, you got Jesus and Hitler and shit, you're out to dinner, right? And then there's just like, like just caveman. And he's off to the side, and he's just like, "You like put the fork down."
I don't
you know
think
what
it
I mean?
would be as civilized as what you're suggesting. Put the fork down. Are you fucking kidding?
Put the fucking fork down, right?
Early man would attack you.
Yeah, but you give him a couple of beers because you never had it before.
Some of the stories.
Dude, that's when you get the goss.
All right. And then I clubbed this chick, right? And then I just dragged her back to my cave.
So Jesus and Adolf meet. This guy actually invented the wheel, and he's like early Shark Tank, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, you're getting... what I need from you is $10,000, right? And everyone's like, this isn't going to work, you know?
10,000 sticks.
I'll take 3 goats. You know, like, Jesus is like, I'm in 40% of your company, right? Early man's...
You need some wine?
You know, an early man's like, I'm inventing the wheel, and my son's like an artist. He does the hand thing in the cave, and I just wish he'd get a job. You know what I mean? And you're like, no, he's just like a disappointment to his family. They're like, he's on the, because mum's like, leave him alone. He's not built to be a hunter, and he's in the cave doing the sticks, right? He's got the stick figures of the pack hunting, and everyone's like, what a fag. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let him go. He's an artist.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
We
thread.
could have been born at any time, and we were born. So I get like this. We were born in the time when you could have the conversation in the alley, right? But we could have been,
Yeah.
ain't like spin the wheel, right?
Yeah.
spin the wheel and get any time, any location,
Yeah.
any race,
Yeah.
any fucking social class,
Yeah.
right? So then you go,
That's
boom,
true.
600 AD India slum. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's like,
Yeah.
that's what we got.
That was on topic for me this week. I started going into some real esoteric stuff on YouTube, and there's this woman who's basically an astrologer, astrologer, yeah, and she's talking all about the planets, and she's talking about
They
how-
do that. Fucking astrologers.
yeah, and she's talking about all these concepts that I don't really understand, but I've heard before, like Mercury and retrograde, things like that, this and that.
Shit, that sends ladies crazy, yeah?
Yeah.
And men.
Exactly. And she's talking about like, she's like, oh, it's really an interesting time in history because this planet hasn't done that for 20 years. That one hasn't done that for 300 years. Over in that other galaxy, that's happening for the first time in about 10,000 years. And there's another thing happening that's never happened before in history. And the one thing she says is, like, we're going through a time of incredible change in the universe. And she says, our souls have chosen it for anyone that's alive today, that's here on this planet today, your soul has chosen this specific time to be here.
Interesting.
And I'm like, fucking love hearing that. I love hearing that because it fills me with optimism.
I don't have have you got your phone on you?
Yeah.
Can you Google what star sign Hitler was?
I'm going to ask Rock.
I would really like to know if Mercury was in retrograde for him.
Grok, what star sign was Hitler?
He's got an Aries vibe to me, but
Bro.
what star sign is Hitler?
He was born on April 20th. That makes him an Aries.
Oh, boom! Did you just see that? He's got an Aries vibe, right?
She says that what's happening in Pluto, we're moving into an Aries time.
Dude, watch out.
She said Aries. Now, she also says that Aries...
Also, did Germany just elect a more conservative government? Coincidence? I think not.
Trigger warning for a lot of people. But jeez, I can't believe you just made me do that on my phone. Fucking the ASIO is going to be after my fucking ass.
I am ASIO. I work for him.
And you just did that.
This was a ploy. I got you. Get them, boys. Woo.
You see how easy I fall for things? Hey, don't look at my search history. What I was going to talk about, though, on this thread was that I was listening to Rogan and he started shouting out this podcast called Fall of Civilizations. And to your point about like, oh, everyone in history, they're kind of a lot like us and they were just like, you know, bakers and this and that. And everyone was just living their life and no one knows their stories.
Mm-hmm.
This Fall of Civilizations, I was sort of skipping through and I've got a bit of an obsession with ancient Egypt. I just love
Very good time.
pyramids. I just love, you know, like one of my favorite movies is The Mummy, you know, because it's like set in this like incredible time with all these things that you just don't understand. And there's this episode, and like these episodes are about.
Maybe he wants it candid.
Maybe he wants a bazooka.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, he's talking. So, and then these episodes are like 4 hours long, right? So this guy's going into immense detail about the state of things back then, and he's talking about like all of these, not pharaohs, forgot what they called them.
Like a priest of some description?
Like the head guy, but he wasn't a pharaoh. He was like
like the CEO.
Yeah,
of
the
Egypt.
CEO
of
Egypt.
Yeah.
And you know, he was talking about like, you know, this one decided that he wanted to build the greatest pyramid in history, the Valley of Kings, and you know, and there was one that they built the most sophisticated pyramid to date, and it only took them 23 years.
Mate.
23 years.
Yeah, I'll check the foundations on that. Yeah. Some fucking cost cutting there, I reckon.
Possibly.
Yeah.
We just speaking of cost cutting, my electricity,
how much time we got left?
My electrical company has just cancelled my. I haven't paid my bill.
Wrap it up in 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah. We've got to go.
Some fun. This has been good.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed
this. Has been fun.
I could talk about the. Hitler being in Aries is funny. I'm going to try and do something with that.
You nailed that. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's got serious energy. I'd like to maybe have a look at what... one final point on... Because we live in a fun time with social media.
Yeah.
I don't. That's the thing. I know mine. That's it.
Wild.
Are
you an Aries?
No, I'm a Libra. Balance.
What is that?
Fuck, I don't know. The tampon brand or something.
October.
September.
But
I wish that
tampon brand
is that we have like, because our modern leaders now have social media.
Yeah,
so that's going to be a historical element of the future, right? So we look back and we go, yeah, the Roman wrote this, and there's newspaper clippings of Churchill. So now, like, Trump, for example, is going to have his Twitter in hundreds of years, and people can read through that and do a thing. I would like it if I wish that modern or people from history had social media.
Oh, you think like you wish you could go through Hitler's Twitter?
I wish I could follow fucking Genghis Khan on Instagram. Dude,
bro, that would be fucking raw ass.
Wouldn't it? It'd be more of a rumble, dude, I imagine. But he's just fucking mental.
He's just holding two severed heads.
100%, yeah. And I would be like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine the comments like, you following fucking Genghis Khan on Instagram? Like, mate, it's fucking good. You should subscribe to his channel.
Hashtag lol.
It's so good, man. You know what I mean? Henry VIII on fucking Tinder. Nah. Yeah, Hitler's Facebook would be wild, like, because like, especially like 44, 45 towards the end, you'd be like, dude, you'd be like that guy you went to school with on ice. You'd be like, man, he's fucking losing it, dude.
I see what you're doing.
Be fun.
I think so. What you're saying is like, there's nowhere to hide from people in the future. Like, you know, what we read about these historical figures is only the stuff that was written in the history books. But
well, your great grandchildren are going to have to look at their great grandmother's like booty pics, right? Because they're around. You're like, fucking great grandma was a hoe, you know what I mean? And she's like, yeah, she's like free the nip, you know what I mean? Like, it's around. People will be like, what's wrong with that photo? Why is it in black and white? You're like, it was a filter, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be that shit's going to exist for the generations in front of us.
Oh man.
And they're going to have to take it with the same grain of salt as history is. Because historians look at stuff and they go, yeah, but he wrote it because he won.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, yeah, well, it was his Facebook. So, of course, he's making it look good. It's his Instagram. There's actually a lot of struggle behind that.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to, like, decipher it.
Yeah, you're going to have to read the comments.
The same fucking rules, yeah?
Mm.
The comments. Right? You're like, that's funny, dude. That's funny. I'd love to get into the Genghis Khan's comments. Like, because there'd be a picture of him, right? Sacked a whole city, right? And then someone will just tag you and be like, oi, check out these comments. What's in there? Typical men.
Oh man,
that is funny.
Dude.
That tickles my fucking comedy bone.
Thank you so much for coming out and doing this with me, man. It's such a fun part of my journey.
I'll come on
to have
again.
you on.
Can I come on again?
Absolutely,
dude. I'll be
please
on
do.
93 or whatever's next.
All right. Well, let's tee that up. I'm really grateful that you made the time to come out here.
My pleasure.
Like we took this episode so many places. It's like profoundly inspiring. So many blueprint lessons that you leave for a lot of people, fellow comedians who are sort of, you know, up and coming on the ranks that could listen to you go just like fucking blow the door up.
Also, I might get cancelled in like 10 years. So then you'll be like, do I leave it up?
Bro.
Or you'll be like, they'll be like, the writing was on the wall. He was talking about Genghis Khan's
I do not
Instagram
subscribe
and
to
shit.
cancel culture.
Hey.
And I never will.
We'll see.
And
we'll
I
see how
never
bad
will.
it is.
Oh, please. If you do enough digging on me, I'm like, I'll be cancelled before you do.
Oh, great. I'll take you up on it. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Let's clap it out. Yeah. Do you want to do this?
Yeah,
do this bit? You got to do this bit. All right, Jarryd Goundrey. Woo! Yes, nice one. Love it, brother.
You line that up at the end, start and finish, and then boom.
Yeah, I line it up at the end.
Good, man. Good to go.
Legend.
Woo!